What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. BC coming at you, of course, with this week's Monday Night Raw review, 10/7/24, the very first 2-hour edition of Monday Night Raw in over a decade. Something fans, wrestlers, the head of creative himself, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, has been clamoring for, begging for, pleading for years now. Hunter saying himself the third hour is just so hard to produce. It's so hard to create. And because of that, it affects the second hour, which affects the first hour. So in totality, we were never getting the best Monday Night Raw in a 3-hour format. Unfortunately, when it goes back to Netflix, it will go back to 3 hours. But for now, man, enjoy this time, the next couple of months, because 2 hours is our best chance at getting the best Monday Night Raw. Now, my expectations weren't too high last night. It was the very first return to 2 hours. But my hopes were a little bit higher, no question. My hopes were a little bit higher. They've known about this for several weeks now, at least bare minimum. So I was hoping that Triple H, Paul, Levesque, McMahon, Hunter Hearst Helmsley had a solid plan. And we were going to start this 2-hour format with a bang, with a splash. Unfortunately, that's not what happened exactly. The matches and the segments that I thought would be really good ended up not being so good at all. The matches and segments I rolled my eyes at ended up being some of the better segments, some of the better matchups, like the Donnybrook match. That was a Vince McMahon classic. You were kind of like, you could just watch the football game during that match. You're not going to see anything you haven't seen before, right? Ukuleles, empty kegs, and maybe some cricket rackets. But no, man, you ended up seeing zip ties. Sheamus was wrestling with no hands at one point. Right? What Hunter has found a way to do is he has taken the corny gimmick matchups, whether you call it a dumpster matchup or a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match or fight, and Hunter has found a way to make them actually good or entertaining at bare minimum, right? At the very least. Like Meech and Chelsea Green on Friday night, it was the right individuals at the right time, and Hunter let them do things that I don't think VKM would let them do. I don't even think VKM would let Chelsea hit Meechin with the Canadian Destroyer in the middle of the match. But at the finish of that matchup, sending Chelsea through the table into the dumpster, just a couple of inches away from her head hitting the side of that dumpster, I don't think VKM would approve that. Chelsea really wanted to do that spot, and Hunter said, all right, it's on you. I trust you. So props to Hunter Hearst Helmsley for allowing the individuals to go out there and not let these matchups make a sham out of them, make clowns out of them. Because a lot of times these matchups, they'll make the wrestlers look like fools. When you're wrestling in a Halloween match and you're running around the ring with a pumpkin on your head. Or you're like Chelsea Green, and VKM has her bobbing for apples. But when you're in a dumpster match and you're putting on a performance like that, man, when we come out of that, we're talking about how much of a star Chelsea was in that match, even in defeat. We're talking about how big of a W that was for Meechin. We're talking about how that was a good match. Donnybrook last night, Sheamus and PD Dunne, they went and did the deed. Dare I say, match of the night was that good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. And that was the one match I was like, I don't even know if I want to watch this, because it's just schmozzery at its finest. But no, they went out and did the deed. I can speak more coffee, BC. And then the match that I had high hopes for, the big championship match, Sami Zayn and Gunther, that was put up in the main event, obviously, and that matchup did not deliver at all. It was the worst of their series of matchups. Over half that matchup was Gunther just chopping Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn trying to overcome the adversity, and at the very end, he delivers a couple of haluva kicks, and then all of a sudden, he's put to sleep. That was it. It was a simplistic formula, but it just didn't hit. After the times that we've seen in the feud that we've seen out of those two, it was time for them to go the next level, and that just didn't happen. The highlight of the night for BC, got a big laugh for about 3 or 4 minutes out of BC, was a Jackie Redmond backstage parking lot interview with the new Rhea, Raquel, Liv, and Dominik Mysterio. That was hilarious. We'll go over that. Bron Breakker, he kind of turned face last week, right? Shook the hand of Jey Uso. Jey says there's a lot of dogs in the arena. He smiles as they all chant for him, or at least bark for him. And then this week, Bron Breakker's like, psych! So WWE had a change of heart. You can't tell me this was the booking all along, because that's just weird. So it looks like they had a change of heart. Maybe they listened to some BC last week in that Raw review where I was just not a fan of this. And they changed course, and this is how Bron Breakker should be booked right now, as a diabolical heel. Don't ask where the dogs are at so everyone can bark for you. Don't pander to the crowd. Don't worry about being a face. Right now, you be a badass, a literal, not just in name, a literal badass, and you go and you destroy the faces. That's all you got to do right now. It's simplistic. Don't overcomplicate it. So what they did with Bron Breakker last night, we'll go over that as well. And the women, unfortunately, not too much different. That has not changed from VKM to HHH. The women's division is pretty much non-existent. And if you ever needed proof of that, last night, the big 2-hour debut, right after over 10 years, how were the women booked last night? One matchup, and they just threw all of them in there, almost everybody on that roster from the Raw side. They threw them all in there. For 5 minutes. We'll go over that as well. So this is, again, the Raw Review 10/7/24. We're going to cover it from top to bottom. And you're not going to believe how we started this show, by the way. Let PC have a sip of his double shot extra Dunkin' coffee, and we'll talk about how this show started. Listen, BC, I run a podcast, and I was at a loss for words. Let's try to talk about it. All right, so you guys know it's not a WWE show unless we started off with all of the wrestlers showing up to work. What a concept. They decided to show up. They didn't take their ball and go home like Steve Austin. Come on. To this day, Steve says that was the worst decision he ever made, but he always follows that up with because of the money that he lost. Not that he thought he was in the wrong. not that he felt bad for Vince or WWE. He always said, I just lost so much damn money. So this show starts off with everybody showing up to work. Wrestlers getting off elevators, Sami Zayn signing autographs in the parking lot. So status quo, but then we go to the ring and Sexy Red is introduced. She's in the middle of Sexy Red. Now, I'm not going to even try to fib or fool you guys into thinking I know what a Sexy Red is, or I'm guessing this is an artist, or that I've listened to her music. I don't know what a Sexy Red is. I wish her all the best. The most tremendous of careers, absolutely. But in pro wrestling, I don't know why Sexy Red was in the middle of that ring. From what I hear, though, she is a big fan, and she shows pro wrestling the utmost respect. So I'll give her the same. If that's a fan and she loves wrestling, she shows it respect, have at it. It was just weird because she just welcomes everybody to Monday Night Raw, and then she just starts like twerking and just dancing oddly. And WWE actually cut her off. They cut her off to go to a Bad Blood recap video package. I don't know. I'm like, what are we? Not the best way to start this new 2-hour era, right? Even though it's only a couple months, this 2-hour format. Sexy Red is the best you got. From what I hear, she's supposed to be on NXT tonight, which, by the way, NXT going head-to-head with AEW, I will absolutely, in some way, I'll be reviewing both shows, or at least the head-to-head format, and what each show brought, right? Shawn Michaels, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and Tony Khan, how they battled each other. Because trust me when I say they're battling each other. And the rating is going to matter to both entities, to Tony Khan for sure, and also to WWE. But from what I hear, Sexy Red is on that show tonight, so. But I think they were in like St. Louis or something like that. And Sexy Red, I believe, is from there. So, all right. If there was something to it, maybe, right? If she had a run-in with one of the wrestlers, one of the females, maybe I could say, hey, this was actually good. But she welcomes everybody to Raw. She starts twerking and dancing. WWE just cuts her off. It was so odd, right? There wasn't like a finality to it. I don't know if Sexy Red just missed her cue, or she was just told to just dance weird, and then we'll just cut off to a video package. But it was all weird, man. If you guys saw it, you know. If you didn't see it and you catch it, you know what I'm talking about. Very odd. Then when we come back to the ring, Sexy Red is out of the ring, obviously, but twerking up the ramp probably. CM Punk is out next. CM Punk stands atop the aisleway. He says he is too banged up to even walk to the ring, but he wanted to thank 3 groups of people: his fans, his peers, and his haters. He says he's not sure what the future holds and insinuates that he may not even return at all. He says he hasn't seen his wife in 5 weeks, AJ Lee, so he has a lot of flowers to buy, he says. He goes to walk away, but he is met by Seth Rollins. Rollins and Punk stare one another down. Rollins then smiles and shoulder checks Punk on his way to the ring. Punk just gives him a look. Punk wants none of it. Punk really selling that Hell in a Cell match from Bad Blood 2 nights previous. So that's always good to see. You know, sometimes you sometimes you come out of Hell in a Cell, and back then the pay-per-views were all on Sunday night. So Monday night would be one day later, and these wrestlers would be in the ring having another match. So this was kind of cool to see a couple of days later, and Punk can't even walk to the ring, man. That is what you call selling. So it's not all Punk, obviously. That's Hunter Hearst Helmsley and whoever decided this. Maybe it was Hunter. But whoever decided not to let him even go to the ring, perfectly done. So Rollins, I do like how they're keeping this alive, Rollins and Punk. The problem is it didn't feel that heated last night, right? But Rollins just smiles, shoulder checks him, and walks away. I really wish that when you do Punk and Rollins in the same room, the same ring, the same aisleway, the same camera shot, I wish that you could feel that volatility, right? That tension, you can cut it with a knife. And unfortunately, it just looks like it's subsiding by the week, by the day, by the hour. So they have to be careful when they have them interact. But they did at least keep that alive. Rollins with the shoulder check, Punk looking at him like, oh, when I come back. So now Punk is gone, right? It's like a baton. Like if you watch the Olympics and you watch that little relay with the 4 individuals, they each hand it off. So Punk, Sexy Red handed it off to CM Punk. CM Punk says some words at the top of the alleyway, hands it off to Rollins. Rollins then goes to the ring. Rollins says nothing but he hopes Punk hurries back fully healed so that he can retire him for good. Then he says, or at least he lays down a challenge to Bronson Reed, anytime, anywhere. He lays claim that Bronson Reed isn't there tonight, but he's still going to issue the challenge anyway. So Bronson's not even there, so okay, he has this challenge for Bronson. This is something that could have easily been done on social media or, you know, on a WWE.com update or backstage. Rollins came out just to issue a challenge to Bronson Reed, and then Jey Uso's music hits. Uso comes to the ring. When he gets to the ring, Rollins is out of the ring. Rollins isn't even seen. I don't even know where he went. Did he go underneath the ring? Did he fly up to Section 300 to get some popcorn and beer? Rollins is gone. So Rollins then hands the baton to Jey Uso. And when Jey Uso gets in the middle of the ring, we're then told that after commercial, we're going to get Jey Uso, Xavier Woods for the IC Championship. So from Sexy Red to CM Punk to Seth Rollins to Jey Uso, it was a relay team. All 4 individuals passing the baton, and after 23 minutes, nothing was accomplished, guys. CM Punk just said, I'm banged up, I'll be back soon, maybe. Rollins just said, hey, I challenge Bronson Reed someday, anytime, anywhere. And Jey Uso just comes to the ring and says, hey, after commercial, I'm going to have a match. And Sexy Red twerked. This isn't nitpicking, right? I mean, you guys know that's 23 minutes out of a 2-hour show now, man. We're supposed to be getting the best television now, the best segments, right? Telling those stories that start at the jump of the show and take us right to the end and work us through the middle. We got none of that, man. Nothing that happened in the first 23 minutes had any direct effect on the rest of the show at all. That's got to change, man. The beginning of the show has to set up the rest of the night. Take us through several storylines that we're invested into throughout the night, and it culminates at the end of the night in what we call a cliffhanger. So not only do we get that full course meal at the end of the night, but it leaves you wanting dessert. You have to tune in next week. Because it was so good, man. This story is so damn good. You don't want to just tune in next week. You have to. We got none of that, man. The first 23 minutes, very odd. Everybody just passing the baton. Everybody's music hitting. Nothing of substance being said or done. And then we go into the matchup. Jey Uso and Xavier Woods. Jey Uso would pin Xavier Woods. Again, title on the line here, guys. This is an IC title match. Jey Uso pins Xavier Woods via Uso Splash to retain his championship. Now, post-match is where the real newsworthy substance comes from, right? Bron Breakker hits the ring. You guys know I've been very outspoken about what happened last week. Even though that was a condensed review last week. Breakker turning face just doesn't make sense to BC. And that's basically what he did, right? Comes out, shakes Jey Uso's hand last week. Uso says, man, there's all these dogs in the arena. They start barking. This brings a smile to Breakker's face. He gives a nod to the crowd, right? I mean, you're turning the dude face. But then last night he comes out and he takes out Jey Uso instantly. So everything that happened last week, erase that, right? Like an erase board, grab your eraser. That chalk is done. Because this Bron Breakker should have never been teased to be a face. Nobody needs to see Bron Breakker teasing a face turn or pandering to the crowd and asking where his dogs are at. We just need Bron Breakker to beat up humans. So Bron Breakker comes out and he takes out Jey Uso. Kofi Kingston tries to make the save, right? Woods didn't want him to. He's like, that's not our bet, right? Woods is showing a lot more heel aspects to his character. So he didn't want Kofi to even save Jey Uso. Kofi's like, dude, that's not us. That's not me. Kofi goes in there and he receives a spear for his efforts. So then Breakker says, all right, Woods tries to drag Kofi to the outside. Breakker jumps to the outside, does the aerial shot spear. So he starts on one side, he runs around the ring, and he spears Woods. Woods did not sell at all. You guys got to go back and check it out. This looks like, I don't want to say this for sure. Much respect to Woods. He's a consummate professional. But he knew the spear was coming. He saw the spear coming. If you go back and watch it, he saw it. And he just decided not to take it that badassly. That's right. That's a word now. Badassly. He decided not to really take that and make Bron look good. He kind of just fell backwards. He just didn't want to sell for Bron. So I don't know what the deal is there, but that was an odd spear. And then Breakker gets back in the ring and delivers another spear to Jey Uso. And I don't know what this was. He did a little chugga before he did it, right? Not a Braun Strowman choo-choo train. But he did a little chugga before he hit the ropes and took out Jey Uso. And Jey Uso took that spear badass. So, and then Breakker holds up the IC championship to the hard cam. And BC just put, after seg over in my notes, after I put segment over, I just put thank you. That's all I put. That's what I put in my notes after all of this. I put thank you. And in other words, that is a thank you to WWE, a thank you to Hunter Hearst Helmsley for correcting the wrong from last week, in the last several weeks, when he was pandering to the crowd. You don't do that with Braun yet. Make him a heel. Make him badass. There'll be plenty of time for him to be a face. You got too many right now. You got plenty of faces. You got Roman. You got Cody. You still have Randy for some reason. You turned Kevin Owens and not Randy. But for now, you got Randy. You got Sethington. You got Punk when he comes back. You got Jey Uso selling all the merchandise. That's cool. Good for them. But, you got a heel problem. SmackDown has none. Jacob Fatu is what they hope to be the next big thing. Solo isn't exactly working out the way they had planned out or panned out. But when you have a guy lose 41 straight matches after John Cena put him ultimately over, that's the company's problem. They have to look in the mirror and say, we did that. So they have a heel problem. Bron Breakker could be he's the answer to that, right? He could solve that problem, man. If Gunther's not going to show up every week anyway, you want Bron Breakker. So I just put thank you. This is exactly what needed to be done, man. Leave no question in anybody's dome piece. This dude is not a face. He's not pandering to the crowd anymore. He doesn't care where the dogs are at. He's going to whoop that ass. Bron Breakker. Hopefully that's the exclamation point that says he's a heel and he's going to beat up all of your top faces. And if it starts with Jason Uso, so be it. Now the question is, does he get his championship back? And you just play a little game of hot potato. I'm not saying I'm a fan of that unless it's done correctly. That was hour one, guys. the weird baton thing, Sexy Red to CM Punk to Rollins to Jey Uso, and then the IC title matchup. And that's it. That was basically it. There was a lot of filler. And then we went into hour number 2, and this was a Donnybrook match. At first, I rolled my eyes back. I said, no, come on, man. What are we doing, Hunter? Or just come out and say that Vince is still running these shows, man. But when it was all said and done, I got to give props to Helmsley. I got to give props to Sheamus and P.D. Dunne. This Donnybrook match is not like the ones before. This one was actually entertaining. This one actually made sense. I'm not sure P.D. Dunne looked the best when it was said and done. It was a hell of a lot of fun. Hour number 2, Sheamus defeats P.D. Dunne via bro kick pinfall in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. It was a wild finish, man. Dunne zip ties Sheamus's hands behind his back, but Sheamus is able to deliver a gnarly bro kick, and he pins him with no hands. Look, ma, no hands. I have no hands, no hands, no hands, no hands, no hands, no hands. He had no hands, and he bro kicks the dome piece off of Dunne, and then he pins Dunne. It was a great moment for Sheamus. Not so much for Petey, obviously. That's probably not what you want on your resume, right? A dude with no hands, not just did his finisher to you, but pinned you. No hands. Pinned you. I don't know where P.D. Dunne would go from there, but badass start to something special for Sheamus. And it's just, it's different. I don't know if you would see that with VKM, right? Zip ties were in the drawer of that fucking, what was it? It was like a dresser. I don't know many bar tables that would have the dressers like that. But P.D. Dunne took out a whole dresser drawer and actually started bashing Sheamus with it. But in one of those drawers was actually zip ties. You would never see that, right? If somebody's going to pull out a drawer at a bar, it's going to be some credit cards, right? Some tab sheets, some receipts, things like that, paperwork. Zip ties. I mean, like, of all the things you would see in a Donnybrook match, the ukuleles or whatever, right? Cricket rackets, fucking empty kegs, fucking beer barrels. Zip ties probably wouldn't be on your list. I don't know, man. They just went all out on it. Sheamus was just fucking bleeding from his elbow. He had welts on his back, on his chest. And P.D. Dunne was not, like, laying off, right? The more that Sheamus bleed, he just kept whacking him even harder. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to praise that. I really am. I've been sports entertained by these gimmick matches as of late. The dumpster match on Friday, the Donnybrook match. I'm not going to give too much credit unless I see the consistency keep going. But I do want to give credit over to the head of creative in this case, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, for producing these gimmick matches the way they should be and letting the wrestlers go out there and not make fools of themselves because of the position they were put in. Hopefully that makes sense. So salute to Helmsley. If you're going to do gimmick matches, let the wrestlers go out there and rock them. That's all I'll say on that. Oh, Raquel. This was good. I just laughed for like 5 minutes. I don't know why. It was just that funny to me. Raquel, Liv, and Dominik Mysterio arrived to the arena in a black SUV. They get out of that black SUV and they're met with Jackie Redmond for a quick interview. I don't know if Raquel said any words. Liv definitely did. Liv and Jackie, they have a good back and forth lately. Like, Liv just can't stand Jackie, but Jackie is going to be persistent in getting the answers. So Liv says a lot, and by the time it gets to Mysterio just says, and I quote, "Let's just get out of here. Let's just leave." And I love his delivery. It was just like a dude that's just like chill, right? He's got the girl. He's had the titles already. He's got Judgment Day. He's calling his own shots at this point, right? So he's literally, his delivery was just like, let's just get out of here, man. Almost like a high schooler that just smoked something and he doesn't even care to go to class. He's just like, let's just leave, man. Let's ditch class. Let's get out of here. Let's go get a burger somewhere. So he's just like, Liv and Raquel are like, really? Are you serious? He's like, yeah, let's get out of here. Let's just leave. So he's playing like the cool high school kid, right? And the girls are kind of like, I like it. So they jump in the car and they actually go to drive off. Now, the best part was Jackie Redmond, man. She was so genuine so sincere and so shocked when they started to take off. She goes, all right, back to you, Tess. They're actually leaving, Tess. It was hilarious. If you guys didn't see it, if there is any way to check it out, man. Jackie Redmond's line delivery when she goes, they're actually leaving, Tess. I had to laugh, and I could not stop for like minutes. The way she delivered, like she was genuinely shocked that they were just leaving. So I had to get a swig of coffee for this one, man. This one is sad. This is, it just doesn't matter if it's VKM, HHH. They're lost when it comes to the women's division in WWE. And whether it's 3 hours or 2 hours, sadly, I don't see that changing, especially after last night. Guys, we have this is the title that I gave it, all right? This 10-woman tag is called the We Have Absolutely Nothing for This Division, so screw it 10-woman tag. Yes, I'll say it again for you guys. It's called a We Have an Absolutely Nothing for This Division, so screw it 10-man tag. 10-woman tag. Because that's what they did, man. Natty, Zelina, Chance, Carter, Val, Vershana, Sonya, Zoe, Alba, and Isla. 10 women tag. 2-hour show. So they took 10 ladies and they chucked them into one 8-minute match. Minus the 3 minutes that were in commercial. These 10 ladies got 5 minutes of airtime last night. 5 minutes of TV time for 10 women. And if you're wondering, yes, it was the only women's match last night in that 2-hour show. The only other ladies that I can even think of on the show would be Sexy Red starting us off twerking. And then real quick, that backstage when Liv and Raquel were with Dominik and they jumped back in the SUV and took off. Other than that, I can't recall too many segments where the ladies were rocking out. So if you are, if you really want to see the women's division just take off and just some good storytelling and some of your favorites, you want to see them out there doing something of meaning, right? Of substance. Last night, you did not get that. 5 minutes of TV time. All 10 women did everything they could to make this match good. They all hit their spots. If you guys saw the last 2 to 3 minutes of the 5 minutes you did see, everybody was on their cue, man. Everybody hitting everything. They were trying to make the most of what they were given. So all 10 ladies, the biggest of salutes. Zelina was the star of the match. If you actually saw, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, it just seemed like Zelina was all over this thing. 10 ladies, 5 minutes. Everybody has to kind of get in there real quick, do a move, and then get a move given to them. So it takes them out. But Zelina kept somehow finding her way into the ring and taking on all the heels. So Zelina was definitely the star of the match. I'm more than okay with that. Valkyria pins Sonya Deville with a top rope leg drop. And there was nothing post-match. That's the biggest thing, right? There was nothing post-match. Now, if you're telling me that stories are being created from this, or if you're telling me there's a reason for this shmoz, then okay. Throw the 10 ladies in there, give them TV time, but at least a story is driven out of this, right? There's something of substance that we're taking from it. Nothing. They had this weird match just to say, hey, see, we showcased 10 ladies last night. Nothing afterwards, man. If you were to tell me there's a reason for it, cool, but there's not. There never is. They just put all the ladies into these. It's the same thing they do with the tag division, by the way. If you notice, the tag division gets no care, no effort is put into it. Every time they need a number one contender, they just do this weird tag team turmoil or a tag team battle royal or a tag team mini tournament. They'll do 10-man tags with a bunch of tag teams, right? Or 12-man. They'll put 3 teams on each side. But they always have these matchups where you can't get behind anybody, man. They're schmozes. And when it's said and done, there's not even a story that you can gravitate to, right? Be captivated by. That's the problem. So if you're ever wondering, man, why the women's division is just in flux, one of the main reasons is this is the booking they're given. If you give them decent time and a good story and such, they'll produce something that's newsworthy and people are going to want to see or at least talk about. Good stuff. A dumpster match we just saw on Friday with Chelsea Green. Now, I know there's a lot of fans that don't look at Chelsea and go, wow, she's one of the top wrestlers. No, not by a landslide, right? They don't know how good Chelsea truly is. I'm not just talking about her skill in the ring, but she checks off every other box. But a match with Chelsea Green, a dumpster match at that, had everybody talking. It was good. The thing she's got going with Michin has been good. So it's there, you know? The stories are there if they dedicate the time. The talent is there. A lot of this talent that they have in these 10 ladies, a lot of them can carry storylines on their back. But if you book them like this, there's not a way. So I had to spend a couple of minutes on that, guys, because this was sad, man. 2-hour format. You're thinking, okay, now buckle down the tag division, buckle down your women's division, buckle down your mid card. Put your main event scene on the pedestal, and you can produce a solid 2-hour show. This showed you they might be more lost with the women's division on 2 hours than they even were on 3 hours. Then we went into the main event, WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther versus Sami Zayn. Gunther, your champion. Challenger, Sami Zayn. Easily their worst match that they've had. Over 20 minutes in length of this matchup. The first 12 minutes plus was just Gunther chopping Sami Zayn for the most part. That's it. Sami Zayn trying to overcome the chops. And then at the end, a couple of haluva kicks were delivered to Gunther, but Gunther was able to kick out of that second one. Gunther then delivers a Gunther bomb. Sami kicks out. Another Gunther bomb. Sami kicks out again. And then Gunther locks in a sleeper, which was more of a chokehold because the arm was definitely under that chin, more toward the throat. So it was more of a choke, but the referee let it slide. Sami Zayn passes out. So Gunther wins and retains this match via submission. Pass out. Referee stoppage. Whatever you want to call it. Gunther keeps his title. That's exactly what should have happened. But I was hoping there was many ways that were utilized last night that was going to make Sami Zayn still look very strong in defeat, and then, like a trampoline, catapult him to something even bigger. Like something happened last night where, yeah, Sami Zayn did not win this, but damn, man, I see where Sami's trajectory is. This is going to be even better than his little thing with Gunther the last month. Nothing happened, though. Gunther wins this matchup. That's it. Gunther goes up the aisleway. Cody Rhodes comes out, and Cody and Gunther just have a stare down because they're going to face each other at Crown Jewel, and that's another thing I have a problem with. Gunther and Cody Rhodes is WrestleMania worthy. I'm not saying it was going to happen this year at Mania. 41? But that's just huge. You're going to put this in just a few weeks at Crown Jewel for a weird Crown Jewel championship is about as meaningful as the Best in the World trophy that Shane McMahon won a few years ago. I'm not a fan of this at all. I'm not a fan of the Crown Jewel championship. I'm not a fan of the champions meeting each other at this event. But that's another story. But that's how the show ended. Cody and Gunther staring at each other. Sami Zayn already an afterthought. The whole last month, Sami's existence was pretty much begging and pleading for an opportunity at that title. When Gunther finally gives it to him, that's the match they had? Sami got his ass whooped the entire match, man. At the very end, he delivered a couple haluva kicks. Is that supposed to make BC go, wow, he's strong? This is a dude that beat Gunther. Beat Gunther for the IC championship at Mania. So how is this performance even in the ballpark of that? I don't know. It was very odd booking. Yes, Gunther absolutely had to win. He had to retain, but I don't know how Sami getting his ass whooped the entire matchup and then passing out at the end. I don't know what that was supposed to do, man. And we're getting Cody and Gunther, a match that gave him a couple months. Sami and Gunther just had a longer feud than what Cody and Gunther are going to do for Crown Jewel. Think about that, guys. That's in a few weeks. Sami started this thing with Gunther more than a month ago. I don't know, man. And that was your first 2-hour Monday Night Raw in over a decade. I think it was 12 years, 12, 13 years, something like that. 2 hours. So again, baby steps. I'm hoping next week we pick it up a lot. Well, actually, guys, that was recorded last night. They recorded that because they have another tour coming up. And because this was only 2 hours, they're like, we can record our next week's Raw. No harm, no foul. We already have this set up. We'll save some money. Boys and gals are going to be on the tour. So that was already recorded. I might do a Raw review for next week, like a spoilers edition at some point this week. So we'll find out on paper if this is going to be better next week or not, because that's already been recorded last night, next week's Raw. Hopefully that makes sense. But we got a couple months of 2-hour television for Monday Night Raw. Let's hope this gets better. This was a mixed bag, man. Again, the things I liked, Bron Breakker definitively telling everybody he is a heel. Thank you. I love Jackie Redmond. She's coming into her own. She's just hilarious. And Dominik and Liv and Raquel, they could be really funny and really badass. I like what I saw with them in that short 2-minute backstage parking lot segment. Really liked the Donnybrook matchup or fight. Things I didn't like was the main event just didn't deliver for me. I don't like what they're doing with the women at all. That was actually sad. The beginning of the night, the first 23 minutes, the relay, Jackie to CM to Seth to Jay, and nothing happened in the first 23 minutes. So, mixed bag, man. But that was, maybe all their attention was just still running on fumes out of Bad Blood. So we'll throw them a mulligan. Next week, I don't care if it's taped or not. I'm going to get the results. We're going to find out together. But I'm not giving them a mulligan next week. You got to pick it up. So we'll see. I'm hearing that the Viking Raiders are coming back next week under the name War Raiders, the old NXT name that Hunter gave them. We'll see if that's accurate. We'll see if Bronson, who was not there last night, if he shows up next week, which means he was in the arena, but they were just saving him for the next recording. So we'll find out, man. Hopefully a lot of this stuff picks up. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC in the unit, saying check you.